Hey everybody, I'm Zee Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at a secret scoring game called Fae. In this game, each player represents a color of wayward spirits, and you are going to be manipulating where your little characters are on the board in order to score the most victory points. However, you can move anyone on the board, and the color you are is hidden from the other players. You just have to make sure that you are in advantageous positions every time a group of characters scores so that you come out ahead. And be careful that you don't telegraph what color you are so that the other players can hurt your position. This game is a re-implementation of a previous older game called Clans from the same designer, same game. It just has a new look, a new components, but it is the same game as that. So if you know Clans from Leo Colovini, then this is the same game. Still, I'm going to give you a look at how it plays, how everything works. We'll come on back after that and I'll tell you what I think. And I'll even tell you what I think of it compared to Clans, which I have played many times before and in fact used to own until fairly recently. So here we go. Let's take a look at this. So here's what the board looks like, set up semi-randomly, and at the beginning of the game, each player is going to be given secretly one of the 5 colors in the game. And so, for example, if I am dealt this one at the beginning of the game, then I am the gray little characters. Whereas if you are dealt this one, you will be the blue ones, and so on for yellow, red, orange color there, and the purple color there. And so, you want to make sure, by the way, before you start your first game, that you really clarify which is which here, because some of the colors are a little tricky, and the artwork in it will have multiple colors. So just show these at the beginning of the game so everyone knows what's what, and you're not playing for the wrong color. Once everyone has one of these, they'll keep it secret, as I said, then you are ready to begin. And the turns in this game are exceedingly easy. On your turn, all you are doing is picking a group of characters, sitting on one of the land types, and moving it to an adjacent occupied land type. And the group you are moving can be a single character or multiple little characters that have previously grouped up. But if the group is 7 or more of those little characters, then they no longer move. They've grown too large to migrate. And then now and then you'll trigger some scoring. And we'll look at these cards down there for scoring. So let's say we are playing a game with 3 players here. I'll just go ahead and do that for now. And give this player, I'll keep one myself. And then on my turn, I'll move one character to another place. So I'm going to pick this one, move it to join this one in that land. Then it's the next player's go. And let's say they take this one and move it over here. Now you can cross these little rivers, but you cannot cross the lakes, the larger bodies of water on the board. And then again, the next player's turn, in which they will take perhaps this one and move it here. Comes back to me, I'll move in there. And this is going to continue until one player is able to isolate a group with a movement. And so, for example, if we take a look with that very last move there, this grouping right here is isolated. Meaning they'll never join anything else because nothing can move into an empty spot already. So they are going to be immediately scored, surrounded by empty spaces. And so what we first do is check if the land they are sitting on is the cursed land for the round. And we know that because the first 4 times we score, there is a favorable land and an unfavorable one. Then it will switch to a different combination of those 2. After 3 scoring rounds, it'll switch again. It will switch here. And then the very last time we score, everything is favorable. So, if we happened to have these scoring in the unfavorable lands, which are these orange-ish spots with the mushrooms, then the group would immediately die. That's all there is to it. Whoever triggered the scoring gets this card, but that's all that happens. In this case, however, that's not the case. So we are going to score this group. And before we do that, we also need to check if every single color is there. But they're not. If they were, then you would eliminate anyone who is there alone. The Lone Rangers in a group of all the colors are eliminated from the scoring. So we've got 2 characters. Both of those colors are going to get 2 victory points. And we track every color, whether it's a player color or not, because who you are representing on the board is hidden from the other players. So both the orange-ish color there and the blue get 2 victory points. And if they happened to be in the favorable scoring position or location, then they would get a bonus 1 point every color that is being scored. Or later on, they'll get a bonus 2, 3, 4, or 5 victory points on the track. Once a group is scored, we'll remove it from the board because we're done dealing with it, and the next player goes ahead and makes a move on the board. And so, for example, let's say we've got this group moves in here. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, whoever triggered the scoring gets that card. That card is going to be worth a victory point each at the end of the game. So we had a move there. This player is going to move in here. And then lastly, move that in there. So we've got here yellow and purple. They are completely isolated. It's not favorable. It's not unfavorable. So 3 points because there are 3 characters to both of those colors. Notice that the fact that yellow is there twice is actually not a benefit to the yellow player. If anything, it's a detriment. They will now score. The possibilities of them being in scoring opportunities has just decreased by 1 because they spent 2 characters for a single scoring. So, i.e., purple did less work and got the same number of victory points. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and whoever triggered the scoring gets the card. This is going to continue, and the board will break up and become different sections. A scoring will continue to happen. Once these are gone, again, we switch the land types that are important. And we do that all the way to the end until, most of this board is going to be clear, like so. And these are going to be cleared. It's just chaos, absolute chaos. And then let's say all of these have been dealt with. And we've just got the final scoring there, in which a player is going to go ahead and do, let's say, this is in there. This player is going to go ahead and move this in here. Isolating that, it's 5 victory points because there are 5 people. Not every color is there, though let's say that there were. Let's say this is the case, okay? And I moved this in there. Now we check that every color is there, and in fact every color is there, so the lone ones are removed before scoring happens. And then we score those 2 colors. 4, everything is favorable during this last scoring, so that is 9 points, 4 plus the 5, to both of those colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and same thing for our gray friend here. And then, whoever triggered the scoring gets that. And then at the very end, we reveal who everyone was. And you add on to your color, now that we know what your color is, the number of cards you took that were scoring cards. Each one being 1 point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I got. Then, whoever is farthest ahead on the track is the winner of the game. And that's all there is to it. So, let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of this game. Alright, so let's talk about this. Thematic ties. The game's theme of these mystical spirits or what have you moving around the land is pretty weak. It's an excuse for some new artwork, I think, whereas the original theme I thought was perfect. You are, clans, nomadic clans, and you are moving around, grouping up into larger sections, settling new locations. It also made a lot more sense as to why when you had a group of 7 or more, you could no longer migrate because those people had settled in that spot on the land. So I don't think the theme here is particularly useful or well implemented. The aesthetics I have some serious problems with. Now, the little minis, those are great. They're nice, plastic, chunky miniatures. They look good. They're well sculpted. The look of the board, with having basically every color be a pastel shade, is hard to see. The game does not pop on the board. Up close, it looks neat, but as a functional player surface, I think it leaves a lot to be desired. I did not find it to be very clear or easy to distinguish, and that goes hand in hand with the new artwork style that they went with for the rivers, where it's not always, you know, super obvious where you can cross from one place to another. And it really should be. I think the functionality of a game, especially one like this that starts with a very busy board, should never be sacrificed because of a cool art style or a neat look, you know. Replayability. Does the game scale well? Are there new things to discover from game to game? I think the game is interesting. I think it's a thinkier game. It's a more engaging game that would appear at first, which is what I very much liked about Clans and why I kept it for so long. So if you get into that, then I think you're going to enjoy it, and it will have a nice amount of replayability. As far as discovery of what's happening, say from the first game to the 5th, or more specifically from like the 5th to the 10th, there's not a lot of variability there. You're going to be doing basically the same things. And there are, as far as strategy goes, 2 or 3 things you can do, right? You want to group up other players' colors so that they score less, potentially. And you want to, you know, if you're in a group that doesn't have you, then stick them on the bad lands and let that group die off. Things like that. That can be fun. That can be tactically interesting. But as far as the replayability goes, there's not a ton of discovery or evolution there. The game length, I think, is fantastic. This game was always very quick. It's still very fast. It always... when it starts to ramp up and you start making different groups, you'll score 2 groups at the same time often. And so it never outstays its welcome. You know, I like that very much about it. The ease of play. Is the game fiddly? Are there any extraneous rules? Does the theme help teach the game? The theme certainly does not help teach the game. Not as much as the original one did, which I thought did in fact help teach the game with, you know, clans moving around and grouping up. And then the look of the board does not help ease of play. There were a few spots on the board that I had to keep telling my players, hey, these 2 are connected. So no, if you do this move, this is not isolated yet. Oh, okay. You know, and so that's not good. I hate having to do that. Having to, you know, not just present the game and having people discover it without me every now and then going, by the way, that doesn't look like what you think it looks like. Then fix the look of the game, you know. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, luck, things like that. This game is, besides the setup and players messing you over or anything, there's no luck in it. And I like that very much. And it is a tactically rich game. There is a reason I liked this game enough to keep it. Let's put it that way. But to keep it for a while. Tactically, it's interesting. As far as, you know, strategic, long-term planning, no, but the game is too short probably for that. But reacting to what's going on, seeing an opportunity and cashing in on it, you know, that's fun, and I do enjoy that. So the original game for me, Clans, with the original theme, with a better-looking board, in my opinion, was a 6 out of 10 for me. I kept it, like I said, for a while, and I eventually did get rid of it. This is worse than that, in my opinion. The theme makes less sense. The artwork, while attractive on its own, more attractive than the original game, is less functional. And the only thing I like better in this one is the little plastic pieces. And again, they're just attractive, not necessarily more functional than a clean-looking wooden hut, as in the original. So overall, while I think this is an engaging game, I think it's a neat, abstract-ish sort of play experience, I don't think it's the best that it could have been made. I don't see why the change was made to include a theme that is less functional and a look on the board that is less appealing and less easy to play, you know. If you like the look, though, there's nothing wrong with the gameplay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you looked at the board and you thought to yourself, looks great, very easy to tell where everything is, very easy to play, then you might like this game. It's quick, it's punchy, it's interesting. I just think that they could have done, from a production point of view, some things that would have been a little bit smarter at the end of the day, just to kick up that usability, you know? So that's what I think of it. Faye, I'm glad to see that the game is back in print. Like I said, it's a neat game. It's certainly one of my favorite Leo Colovini games, though that's not saying too much. But there you have it. That is Faye. Check it out if it sounds like it's something up your alley. And thanks for checking out this review. I'm Zee Garcia, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.